I have asked the Daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart to lead us in prayer by singing their song, which is their motto, all for the glory of God. Table with other guests, and then table 1. This is the first table. little later. It's very short. I'd like to thank Fred Stone for working with Sister Solange on that. So that's another person who was very involved. Marilyn Parsons for decorations. I want to thank Marilyn. And Dean Trombley for music. And of course our wonderful Calvin Castine at Hometown Cable. Me to remind everyone that DVD or tapes will be available. So any of you who are interested in getting a DVD of the Mass and this evening's program and pictures of everybody, they will be available from Calvin. I also had a request from some of the graduates. They'd like to know who the sisters are that are listed here. So if I call your name, would you just raise your hand or stand? Sister Monique Gagne. Sister Cecile Forte. Sister Mary Monica. Okay. Sister Monique Couture. Sister Carol McKenzie. Sister Bonita Cody. Germaine Bayshard. Sister Germaine is a native of Champlain, I believe, yes. Sister Albertine Parent. Sister Marcella Pearl. Sister Jeanette Roy. Sister Therese Fournier. Sister Solange Booth. Sister Jeanne Lassalle. Sister Agatha Delorier. And from Quebec, we're fortunate to have some of the sisters. Sister Suzelle Robert. Sister Germaine Mayou. Sister Priscilla Duchamp. Sister Marie Turgeon. Sister Monique Mignot from France. Sister Françoise Drouet. And Sister Elaine Foyer. Fortunate to have a distinguished guest here this evening, the Bishop of our diocese. Bishop Cunningham has made it his business to really know the North Country. He's made several visits here. He's been in Plattsburgh. He's been here. I've met him a couple of times at St. Anne's Shrine, Niagara, of course, a very important area for our French history. So we're very pleased to introduce the Most Reverend Robert Cunningham.
Thank you, Celine, and thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Usually the bishop gets to speak last, but as a wonderful gift, because they knew I had a 2.5-hour ride, they let me speak early because I will be leaving to head back home to Ogdensburg. Tomorrow's another day and other parishes to visit. I'm kind of reminded of, I know it's a French group, and I'm reminded a little bit about Henry VIII, who said to each of his wives in succession, "I won't be keeping you long." My words are words of gratitude and appreciation. I think it was St. Ambrose that said that no one has a debt quite as deep as the debt of gratitude. And I want you to know that I am extremely grateful tonight for the work of the Daughters of the Charity of the Heart of Jesus Christ here in our diocese, continuing with Sister Solange and Sister Marianne. And I have told the provincial that if she didn't know where to send anybody, we're always ready and to receive other daughters back here in Champlain and throughout the North Country. But tonight, really, our debt is fathomless for all the good work that the sisters have done through the year. And that work is continued in the lives of the men and women who have been taught and formed by the daughters through the years. So we thank you for your dedication to the church and your continued fidelity to the work of the church here in Champlain. I know that there are many other speakers this evening. Well, not many others, but there's a few other speakers this evening, and a slide presentation entertainment. So I won't promise not to keep you, but I do want you to know how grateful we are and how delighted we are to be with you to celebrate this wonderful occasion. So thanks very much.
Thank you. It's always good to have you here, Bishop. Speaking of the Daughters of Charity and their dedication, I was given a list of the sisters who have served at St. Mary's since 1906 and the number of years. And I added those years up. The total number of years served by the Daughters of Charity is 1,177. Do you realize that's over 11 centuries? Service or is that service? The next speaker is Sister Elaine Poirier, and some of you know Sister Elaine because she served as principal here at St. Mary's. She is now in France representing the international community. So Sister Elaine.
Like Bishop Cunningham to know that I have him beat because I have to return to France. Very soon. Not in a hurry. Bishop Cunningham, very pleased to have met you. And the clergy, the Reverend clergy who are in the room. All the Daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus who are here. We're very international tonight because we have our sisters also from Canada, and we have one from France as well, a real French sister. Nous avons une sœur vraiment française, juste une visiteur comme moi. Also, I want to address our associates who are here at this table. I will be referring to them a little bit later. Also, I am going to be very brief as well, so don't worry. I have to say, first of all, that it's such a joy for me to be here. I feel like I've come home. And this is true. This is true. It's not just a little speech. I feel very much at home among you and very happy to see you again. I'm here to represent our Superior General, Sister Genevieve Penisson, and the General Council of the congregation. So I'm speaking more or less for her, but also for myself. But I would like to say that when we celebrate 100 years, a jubilee of a congregation in a place, what we are really celebrating is a response to a gift, to a grace from God. We are actually celebrating God's faithfulness to us and God's gift to us. And when we talk about, as we did last night, our first 4 pioneers who came from France, we are talking about women who responded to that grace. And not only by words, but by actually incarnating that grace in their lives, with their bodies, minds, and spirits. They received that grace from God, and they actually moved with it. And so we, as daughters of the charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, we also wish to respond to that grace as time goes on. And this is our request of prayer from you. Please pray for us that we can also incarnate that tremendous courage and faith of our first four sisters. And Champlain is blessed because Sister Aline of St. Lawrence is in our cemetery. Our cemetery at St. Mary's. I would also like to say that celebrating these 100 years here in Champlain, we are also celebrating you, each one of you in this room, because you received us. You received the grace that we attempted to transmit to you, the love and the tenderness of the heart of Jesus. You received it. You received us. We are a part of you. We feel a part of your families. You welcomed us, and we just feel like we belong to one big family. And so we thank you for that, because it's a very special spirit and grace. So, if you really want to thank the Daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus for 100 years of service, the best way you can thank us is to carry on the spirit. Carry on the spirit of the compassion and the love of the heart of Jesus. Carry it on in your own lives. Pass it on to your children and your children's children. This is the best way that you can say thank you to the daughters. And so we count on that. Also, we would like to say that the congregation is present among you through a very special group known as the Associates of the Daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The Associates is a special way of belonging to the congregation because they are formed in our spirituality, they have regular meetings, and they also attempt to reincarnate our spirit of the daughters. We have an associate table here. I see they're sitting together. If you would like to know more about who they are, ask them. We would love to see more and more of you become associates to our congregation. Sister Mary Ann Gore, Sister Solange Poutry are here. They are in charge of this region for the associate program. So talk to them if you're interested in what the associate program is all about. I would like to finish by quoting our Superior General and her words to you as a faith community. Sister Genevieve, our Superior General, says, "At the same time we celebrate each one of you, friends of our sisters and believers of Catholic education. Reading the headlines of recent articles in your newspapers, we received some. The headline said, 'Spirited effort saves Catholic school in Champlain.' And school, parents help school meet needs. And enrollment goals focus on wider region." These headlines of newspapers here, what does that say to us? It seems to me, says Sister Genevieve, that the spirit has not changed for 100 years and that it is continuing. We wish you well. Sister Cornada is still here. The new faculty, the new administration of St. Mary's, we wish you well. And we hope that the school can continue for many, many more years. Finally, again, I quote our Superior General as her wish to you. "I leave each one of you gathered in celebration of this sacred event with this challenge: to be seized by the love of the heart of Jesus that our sisters passed on to you, to take the risk of passing this love to your contemporaries. In this way, the mission confided to Sisters Aline of St. Lawrence and Sister Edgar will continue in each one of you, in your families, church, and world." So, my friends, we are counting on you to do just that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Elaine. Very inspiring. Our next speaker is Sister Monique Gagne, who's the Provincial Superior of the American Province.
Bishop Cunningham, parishioners and friends of the sisters. It is in the name of all the sisters of the American Province that I'm speaking to you tonight. It is with great joy that all the daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the associate members join you today in remembering 100 years of history and presence among the people of the North Country. 100 years ago, two courageous women, Sœur Hélène de Saint-Laurent and Sœur Saint-Edgar, walking in faith and in trust, arrived in Champlain to teach in the small parish school, which was previously under the direction of Mr. Saint Maxim. The following month, 4 other sisters arrived directly from France to join the community. In spite of nearly insurmountable barriers of language, climate, culture, and poverty, the little community and the parish school survived and grew. Who could have predicted the far-reaching results of these women dedicated service? Who would have believed that a century later, the Daughters of the Charity will still be present in this community? And it is with gratitude and joy that we celebrate the untiring service and compassionate presence of these women who have lived and worked among the people of Champlain for the last 100 years. However, all this will have been impossible without you. So today, the Daughters of the Charity wants to express their gratitude to you, the people in this part of Clinton County, and those who came before you, your parents and your grandparents, for the gift of yourself, of your friendship, and of your time to support the sisters and their mission. A heartfelt thank you to each and every one. Without your constant support, who knows if this celebration of today would have been possible? What will the future be? How long will there be Daughters of Charity in this special place called Champlain is unknown. But we know that whatever happens in the future, the bonds of love that have been created between us during these 100 years will always be there. They are forever part of the fabric of our lives and will be remembered for generations to come. In that spirit of unity and mutual respect, we continue together the journey that was started so long ago, to many more years of working together.
Thank you, Sister Monique. There are others I would like to recognize here this evening. Unfortunately, some had to leave, but first I'll recognize our pastor, Father James Delbell. So thank you for all you do. Father Donald Robinson, a former pastor, had to leave, but I couldn't help but think tonight during Mass, we're looking at the beautiful church. He was responsible for the redecoration, and we were very happy with the appearance of our church, and I told him that this evening, and he was also happy with what he saw, but he was responsible for that. So unfortunately he had to leave, and Father Jim Lamini also was here this evening, a former pastor. So we thank him for joining us. It was very thoughtful. I'd like to recognize the oldest graduate in this audience this evening. The class of 1939. Her name is Rita Bono Balthazar. She came all the way from Farnham, Quebec. We thank you very much. Also, Simone Boyer-Manette is the class of 1940. Now, I don't know who traveled the longest distance to get here. Well, I know the sisters from France, but as far as the alums, does anyone want to take a guess? Arizona. Arizona. You're probably Arizona. This is Bill LeClaire, class of 48? 47. Okay.
Tampa Bay, Florida.
Florida. Wonderful. Also, Art Sunshine from Florida. California. Fountain also is from California, I think. Yeah, way up. Well, we thank you. Yes, someone else?
Over here.
Yes.
Florida.
Florida. We're happy to have you. We're happy to have you all. Wonderful. I also want to recognize the Diamond Anniversary class, the 60-year class. Would you stand, please? Class of 1946. And the greatest class of all, the Golden Anniversary class of 1956. Here this evening, class of 56. Also, one of the things I wanted to mention before the bishop left is the class of 1956 had the distinction of having the bishop at their graduation. It was the first time that a bishop had attended graduation at St. Mary's was Bishop Kellenberg. So, and the fact that the bishop is here on the 100th is wonderful. Thank you. Is there anyone from the last class to graduate, 1969? Thank you. I received a letter from an alum who was unable to make it. Dear sisters, my prayerful congratulations for your 100 years of ministry to St. Mary's and surrounding parishes. I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Sisters of St. Mary's Academy for their support, guidance, and kindness to me as a student and a boarder a half-century ago. With gratitude and prayers, Sister Ellen Murray. She was the graduating class of 52. She's a Sister of Providence in Edmonton, Alberta. We've also received a letter from Father Gilbert Menard, who's unable to make it due to an accident and back injury. But he's also a graduate, and he's sorry he could not join us this evening. The sisters have also received several resolutions from municipalities. I don't have a very good podium. One is from the village of Champlain, a resolution of congratulations and appreciation to St. Mary's Academy on 100 years of Catholic education in the Northern Tier. It was offered by our mayor, Jeffrey Moore. I believe he's here tonight, Jeff, somewhere. The mayor of the village. He's outside. And I would like to present this to Sister Monique. It's a resolution. You might as well stay standing because you have more. There's also one from the town of Champlain, a celebration of 100 years of mission and presence in Champlain by the Daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart. I'm not going to read all these, they're in the books, so it makes you buy the books. I'm also very proud of one from the Clinton County Legislature, and I won't bother you with all the whereases. But we do mention that the Daughters of Charity are continuing their work in this area, in hospice and in parish work, and we are grateful for that. So this is from the county legislature, and we thank you very much. I'd like to take advantage of this moment right now for a moment of silence for deceased alums and deceased sisters. And I believe the sisters have candles that they want to light in memory of their... Every time we have a reunion, we have fewer alums. Many of the sisters we had as students here are no longer with us, so let us take a moment to remember them. Thank you. Many words have been spoken here tonight, but perhaps the most eloquent words were those that were not spoken and that will never be spoken. No one will ever know the number of students whose lives were touched and transformed here at St. Mary's. Students who were guided by the sisters here to do what is right and become productive citizens. In the past 100 years, many lives have been touched by the Daughters of Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Many are not here to speak, but there is an untold gratitude and love that fills our hearts today. So I thank you for this moment. John F. Kennedy once said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors, the men it remembers." If President Kennedy were alive today, I'm sure he would have changed the word men to people, but otherwise there's no change in the basic thesis. We reveal ourselves in the people we choose to honor. And tonight, we honor people not only for what they have accomplished, but also for what they have brought out in others. We are here as a testimonial to our honored guests. We are here to bear witness to their contributions. We are here to honor these ladies who have done what seemed impossible in 1906. We salute their sheer bravery above and beyond the call of duty. We expressed our respect, our admiration, our appreciation for these outstanding women. We are saying thanks, well done, congratulations. We are not here because we had to come, but because we wanted to come. And we wanted to come because we wanted to be part of this occasion. Would you all stand and give them a rousing round of applause? trouble with the battery. You are all set. I don't know if you will all be able to see. It's going to be projected on that wall.
In memory of Sister Aline of St. Laurent and of her courageous companions, Sister St. Edgard, Sister St. Vernon, Sister St. Gerard Magella. In memory of Sister Aline of St. Laurent and her courageous companions, the first departure of the Daughters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus for America. Poem composed by Sister Aline of St. Lawrence in 1905. It was October 9, 1905. The anchor is heaved up at last. The vessel goes fast on the vast ocean, agitated by furious bellows. Where are you going, child, weak and fragile as you are? Does not your inexperience frighten you? Yes, I should fear everything if relying on myself. But don't you see, ahead of the vessel, bright as a living flame in the sky above, the heart of my Savior as a new lighthouse. Oh, what should I fear in this powerful guide? Are not all elements submitted to his law? Satan and his agents, with their treacherous rage, will admit defeat before this powerful king. Humanly speaking, it is true, my audacity is extreme. I should be frightened, and I am reassured. 'Tis because in my heart I feel the strength of God. But here is the secret of my daring project. I had promised to God on the days of my youth to belong to Him all my life long. But in the Parliament, villainous laws try to break down these so strong ties. Then, coming closer to the Divine Master's heart, I told him, my Savior, I cannot leave you. To love and serve you and make you known under any sky, let me go. The universe is yours. Every soul is dear to you. They have been bought at the cost of your blood. I am expelled from here. Open the frontier to me, that I may still cultivate your field. Lord, in order to deserve such a great favor, if one must suffer much, I agree willingly. Because for me, nothing can compare, no, nothing can surpass the favor to be yours for all eternity. But you, Lord, were insensitive to my tears. In spite of my repugnance, I had to accept, to give up my habit, my precious arms. I had, in a word, to become secularized. All the pain I suffered in my soul, you alone know, O my divine Savior. My good superiors, witnesses of my anxieties, revived in me a quiet peace of heart. I took back my habit, and my joy was complete. I was, at last, a part of the community. And now, a frontier opened before me, where I will live in the peace of true freedom. Here is all the secret of my holy boldness. I go, I leave all for you, my Savior. The sea and its dangers, the sadness of exile, will all be soothed by your divine heart. In return, do give back to my dearest France her native piety, her prestige, and her faith. Give her back, O Lord, her bravery of old, her dedication to God and to His divine right. I also leave, O Lord, a beloved family, the one of the dear daughters of your heart. Do bless and protect their mother house, as well as its supporters, my good superiors. I still leave, Lord, on the land of France, a beloved father, cherished family. Keep them, O my God, in the holy observance, that one day we may all be united in heaven. Go, make the Sacred Heart loved on American soil. Made on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the arrival of the Foundresses on American soil. Sister Aline of St. Laurent, born Aline Courant, died in 1911 at the age of 54 years. She lived 6 years in America. Sister Saint Edgard, born Hélène Boujou, died in 1926 at the age of 55 years. She lived 21 years in America. Sister Saint Fernan of the Sacred Heart, born Eugénie Pageant, died in 1926 at the age of 50 years. She lived 21 years in America. Sister Saint Gerard Magella, born Rosalie Guinard, died in 1971 at the age of 96 years. She lived 66 years in America. Realization, Sister Bridget Sirmois and Sister Germaine Pouliot.
Thank you for coming. First of all, I didn't have the pleasure of attending St. Mary's, but since I've lived in this community all my life, I've always tried to be involved in the different activities of the church. And about 15, 16 years ago, I met Mr. Champlain and we started singing together at weddings and funerals. So we became known as the wedding/funeral singers. And a couple years ago, Dean moved away and I kind of lost my partner. He was the pianist and I do the vocals. We do, when he called me and said, "Hey, I need help," I'm like, "Oh no, it's holiday weekend, somebody passed away, or it's a quick wedding." Well, he asked me to assist him in the business, and it was an honor and a pleasure. So the show will begin. I know you've all been welcomed many times over the past 24 hours, so I'm not going to welcome you again. Although, I will, however, thank you so much for spending your weekend here with us at St. Mary's Academy. During the next 30 minutes, present students, former students, and graduates of St. Mary's will pay tribute to our faith, our school, and our teachers. And finally, to our great country. Each member of this performance represents every man and woman who ever walked these halls. Please sit back, relax, and have fun with us for the next half hour. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dean Champlain, graduating class of 1961.
Thank you very much. Class of 61, that dates me. Isn't it funny how after you turn 55, you acquire names that you never had before? My kids call me Dad, Daddy, for the first 30 years of their life. Turned 55, and it was Pa. I got one kid, "Hey old boy," "Hey old man," "Hey old 1 foot in the grave," "Gramps." I don't mind my grandchildren calling me Gramps or Grandpa, but why do my kids have to call me Grandpa? My wife calls me Grandpa. But I gotta tell you, about 8 weeks ago I was invited to one of the committee meetings. Florence Cardan called me, so I said, "Yeah, I can make it." Came over to school on a Monday night, 7 o'clock meeting. Walk in about 10 to 7, look around, people filter in. I sit down, there's 17 of us, a horseshoe arrangement. I look around, heck, I'm the baby. Then I start thinking, heck, I can't remember last week. How's this committee going to put on an event of this magnitude? There was one lady next to me. When it came time for her to read a report, I had to nudge her. She had fallen asleep. All kidding aside, I would like to have a warm round of applause for this wonderful committee. Their names are in the book. They drove, they begged, they borrowed, they stole, they licked stamps, they addressed. They did it all over again the next week, and then did it over again. And then mailings would come back, no address, return to sender. Call somebody for the address, redo it. This went on for 6 months. So please show your appreciation. These people are awesome. Everyone who ever roamed these halls took a memory with them of some kind. Whether it was from sports, the Glee Club, the band, the CYO, the Sodality, United Nations, the proms, the school dances, final exams, graduation, whatever. Everyone seems to have had some memory, a little more important, a little more special than a lot of the others. Well, I, like all of you, have a memory like that. It's not really very pleasant, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. Well, it's pleasant today. It was 1952. I was in the 4th grade. Sister Frances of Assisi was my teacher. She was an angel. I wasn't. Consequently, I spent a lot of time after school, first few months of the fall, writing "I must not talk in class." Well, the first few times it was only 100 lines. Then it got a little more severe. When I finally got past 200, that's when our blackboards maxed out. I had to go across the hall. But that was the 5th grade. They were just warming me up for next year. Anyway, September and October went by, and I probably wasn't doing all that well. One day I got home, and my mother greets me, and she said, "I talked to the sisters today." You know how fast I could say an Our Father, 3 Hail Marys, and a good act of contrition? When I knew I was this close to getting killed. And I looked up and I said, "And what did the good sisters have to say?" Well, they agreed to let you start taking piano lessons next Tuesday. I knew I hadn't heard what I heard. So I said, "What special sessions?" She said, "No, dear, piano lessons." "Mom, I don't want to take piano lessons." "Oh, yes you do, dear. Remember how your mother always knew what you wanted to do way before you knew what you wanted to do?" And then she followed up with, "You'll do as I say, and like it." Then the other part of that, "If you live under my roof, you'll do as I say." We went through all of that. That evening I went to my father. He was in his chair watching TV, and I tried to plead my case, and my father looked at me and he went, he didn't want any part of it. All weekend, I was trying to figure what is going on in my life that I would be made to take piano lessons. It has to be a conspiracy. This is the way they're going to stop me from acting up in class. They're going to make me take piano lessons. This was dirty. This was downright dirty. That's unfair play. Anyway, Monday came and went. Tuesday morning came and I had a plan. I said, well, if I cut up enough in school today, I'll have to stay after school, and by now my lines were up to 300-400. So I probably was the worst I'd ever been, and that didn't work. Not only did I have to go to piano lessons, but I was already scheduled to stay on Wednesday night after school. So it was a double whammy. So 3:20, the bell rang, and when every kid in school was out on the parking lot, playing captain, kick the can, hide and seek, talking to their girlfriends, getting on the bus, I made my trip to the convent. There were only 2 reasons you would go in the convent. One was to go to confession, mass in the chapel, And the other one was piano lessons. Now remember when you went through between the buildings, we always call it between the buildings and down to the landing. You opened the door, you went down the hall to a T. If you took a left at the T, you went by the sisters' kitchen, and where they ate, and there was this magnificent, well, there was a way out to the front porch, side porch. Then a magnificent staircase. Now this is where the sisters lived. This was their sacred abode, where they ate and slept and talked about us. Now if you kept going, you got to the confessional, a nice sitting room in the front, and the chapel. I wanted to go to confession that afternoon so badly. I would have stayed in the confessional till nighttime. I would have confessed sins that I wasn't old enough to commit. I would have made up new sins. Father, I ate meat last Wednesday. But when I got to the T, I had to turn right. Down the hall about 10, 20 feet, and the first right, the only right, was the piano room. No windows, no distractions. I made my way to it. Just when I was reaching for the door, it mysteriously opened by itself. And there stood Sister Mary Rain. She looked like she was 6'4", 228 pounds. Do you know how monstrous a woman that is? When you're a 4th grader, so skinny you've been held back a year for your tiny body. In one hand she had an oak rod that was about this long, a round oak rod. And she was beating it against her other palm. I would say with some exuberance. She looked down at me and she said, "Come in, Dean, I've been waiting for you." Now that right there gave me a fuzzy feeling, I'm telling you. We began. First thing she showed me was how to adjust the little spiral piano stool. She said, "You adjust that, and when you sit on it, your hands are on the keys, that's perfect." So I did that. Got up on the stool, the hands were flat on the keys. I looked down, I saw these 3 shiny pedals sticking out from underneath that big machine. I couldn't figure what those were for. I kind of thought it might have been for the big girls to rest their feet on when they played. Because when I had the stool high enough for my fingers to touch the old ivories, my little feet were dangling about a foot above those keys. It wasn't until I learned how to drive that I realized there was a clutch, brake pedal, and gas pedal in that thing. That's how they moved it from room to room. Well, the first 6 or 8 weeks went by, and looking back today, that would have been called Knuckle Rapping 101. And I probably would have got social services involved. Picture this. Sister Mary Rain and my mother leaving the school grounds in a county vehicle. But that was then, and this is now. My mother's money ran out, and Sister Mary Rain's patience definitely ran out, and the piano lessons came to an end. And I figured I had a beat. I won this case. But I really didn't win. And there was a seed planted. And I've regretted giving up on it like I did. Because years later I took up a real love for the keyboard and I struggled, and I still struggle today. And I think back when I had a young, alert mind and people cared about me learning something, and I kind of tossed it aside. But there was a seed planted. And I thank Sister Mary Rain, and I thank my mother, and I would like to play a piece for them right now, very short, and a piece for all of you. And thanks for listening to my vivid memory of grade school at St. Mary's.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce to you this man who will share his wonderful gift and talent with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome of applause for Mr. Rick Casta. It has always been a known fact that St. Mary's girls were the extremely spirited. They actually exhibited much more spirit and spunk than most of the guys. Whether it was participation in sports, theater, public speaking, music, cheerleading, or the day-to-day activities, these women took second place to no one when it came to drive and perseverance. They were the ones. As these gals went forth in their respective walks of life, no matter where they may have settled, they were the ones who became Firemen's Auxiliary, Cub Scout den mothers, Catholic daughters, the decorators of our churches and our schools, and the bona fide leaders of all kinds of committees and the community services. They just seemed to have that I will try anything attitude, and they've done it. Dean, didn't you tell me earlier last night that you had a little story that you would like to share with us tonight? In trying to get a point across? I think you have a story that we discussed earlier. Try as it may.
Well, as a matter of fact, I do. About 5-6 years ago, just before Father Robinson had left, I think he left after the bazaar. This was a weekend before the May Crown, and Father Robinson called me. And, Amy had gone over the music with me for the May Crown, and She was out of town. But he just wanted to look at the music so there was no surprises. So I said, that's fine. So he said, well, could you come over to the rectory on Saturday, just a few minutes before confession start? Not the rectory, but church, I'm sorry. I said, yes, Father, I'll be there. So at 4:30, I walked in church and I knelt and signed myself and knelt down in a pew. Father came in through the sacristy and he genuflected and signed himself. And when he started down the stairs, he noticed there was a young girl sitting about 4 pews back from the altar. So he began to speak to her. Of course, in church you can hear everything, and he didn't care if I heard it. He was just conversing. He said to the young girl, he said, I've never seen you here before. And she said, well, I don't live here, Father. And he said, well, are you visiting family? And she said, no, actually, Father, she said, I'm working with a circus in Ross's Point. Oh, he said, well, he said, that's very interesting. He said, the circus, he said, I love the circus. He said, well, what do you do, my child, in the circus? He said, well, Father, in elementary school and in high school and in college, I was a gymnast. So I actually do the tumbling with the circus. I do the tumbling and the high wire and things like this. He said, oh my God, he said, I haven't been to a circus, I'll bet, in 20 years. He said, would you mind just showing me some of your moves? And the little girl said, in church, Father? He said, my child, the Lord loves to see the young people's talent. He said, you go right ahead. So, this little girl, she was wearing a little jacket, she took it off and she walked to the back of the church. Well, where you come in, I don't know if that's front or back, but she stood there and she kind of composed herself and took a deep breath, and she took off on a beeline down the aisle. And when she got halfway down, she did 2-3 cartwheels and a 1.5 flip and landed on her feet just like a gymnast. Well, Father Robinson, he was so awestruck. He clapped his hand. He said, that is so precious. He said, wow. He said, listen, I hate to ask you, but could you do that just once more, and then I promise I'll leave you alone, and I'll get, because people will be coming in for confession. She said, okay, Father. So she makes her way back to the end of the church again. Same thing. She takes a deep breath and she gets her composure. Just when she's about to take off, the door opens and Florence Carney and Doris Pecor come in. Now here's this girl running down the aisle, full speed ahead, stops, does 3-4 handsprings, a 1.5, and goes into a full split in front of the altar. Doris looks at Florence and says, Florence, do you see what Father Robinson's giving for penance this afternoon? And Florence, without batting an eye, says, yes, and me with a hole in my underwear?
At this time, would the sisters so kindly light the votive candle that has been placed on the table by you? Please allow these candles to burn throughout the next selection. Thank you. Please take a moment to just light the votive candles. With the help from a group of St. Mary's children, dedicated the following composition to you, our dearest teachers, and to all the sisters who were here with us, here at one time in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rick Levanter, Mr. Lane Tremblay, Mr. Dean Tremblay, Danielle Rainville, and the children of St. Mary's Academy. Please listen.
That's what live performance is about.
I was walking home from school on a cold winter's day. Took a shortcut through the woods, and I lost my way. It was getting late, and I was scared and alone. And then a kind old man took my hand and led me home. Mama couldn't see him, thought he was standing there. And I knew in my heart he was the answer to my prayers. Oh, I believe there are angels among us, brought down to us from somewhere above. They come to you and me in our darkest hours to show us how to live, to teach us how to give, to guide us with the light of love. When life hauled troubled times and had me down on my knees, there's always been someone to come along and comfort me. A kind word from a stranger to lend a helping hand, a phone call from a friend just to say I understand. Ain't it kind of funny on the dark end of the road when someone lights the way with just a single ray of hope? I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere above. They come to you and me in our darkest hours to show us how to live, to teach us how to give, to guide us with the light of love. They swear so many faces, show up in the strangest places, and skies us with their mercy in our hour of need. Oh, I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere above. They come to you and me in our darkest hours to show us how to live, to teach us how to give, to guide us with the light of love. I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere above. They come to you and me in our darkest hours to show us how to live, to teach us how to give, to guide us with the light of love, to guide us with the light of love.
And the Children of St. Mary's Academy. evening's color guard are all graduates of St. Mary's Academy. Mr. Donald Mars, class of 1949, United States Air Force. Mr. Gerald Mayo, class of 1949, United States Air Force. Mr. Roger Favreau, class of 1954, United States Army. Mr. James Favreau, class of 1964.
Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want,